What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We're back doing another preview video going over our selection reaction. The teams are being announced for round 4 of the Guinness Six Nations. We've already done one for Scotland and Italy. It's already up on the channel. You can go check that one out after this one if you haven't already. But this one, England versus Ireland. What an exciting game to get into this week. Lots to go over. So we're going to go over the team announcements, have a look at who's some good picks, some bad picks, some changes that have shifted up, my own expectations, my predictions for what I think is going to happen in the game, and then finally, of course, leaving off with a score prediction. Make sure you drop down in the comment section who you think is going to win this game and by how much, all that fun stuff, and hit the old like button if you enjoy the video. Help a guy out on YouTube. Right, so England versus Ireland, a lot to go over in this one, so we're going to dive straight into it now. England last week, we'll start out with the home team as we always do. Played Scotland last week, lost that Calcutta Cup, even with a lot of stats going their way. A lot of things look to be improved. I thought the kicking game from England looked a lot better. They won 100% of scrums. They won 93% of their own lineouts. Things were looking good for England, but Scotland just having that ability to be a little bit more clinical in some of the key areas, and having someone like Duhan van der Merwe is just a nightmare to shut down. Going up against Ireland this week, going to need some big shifts going in, because Ireland go into this one, amazingly, if they win this game, I believe they take over the record for the most wins in a row in the Six Nations. England currently hold it from about 3-4 years ago. I can't remember how long it was back now. But if Ireland take this one, they take that record. So Ireland are up for this, as well as being on for a second Grand Slam back-to-back. First team ever to do it. There's a lot of pressure coming on England in this game, because I'm sure Ireland will be out for blood. But we'll start out taking a look at the England team name for this one, because there are some changes to go over, a couple of interesting talking points. So starting out in this front row, Ellis Genge, Jamie George, Dan Cole. Now, like I said at the start, scrummaging for England looked a lot better. 100% of their own scrums, 93% of the line out, and they've kept with the same front row that we got to see last week, and I think that's probably the right move. You know, Ireland are a massive power team. They love getting involved in, well, the scrum, the line out, any sort of breakdown area where the forwards can get involved. We know what they bring. So I think with the high percentages we got to see last week versus Scotland, I think it's worth keeping that same row. They've still got this chaos of the amount of captains and vice captains, which I don't think does anyone any good, but that's my own personal opinion on that one. In the lock department then, Maro Itoje goes in alongside of George Martin this week. Ollie Chesham has moved to the 6 shirt. No Ethan Roots this week. George Martin coming in the 5 shirt. This is a good move for me. I think going up against Ireland, we know how impactful they are just across the park with the power game, the size game. George Martin for me is a bit more of a physical presence than Ollie Chesham. He's a hard-hitting player. He likes to get involved with the big tackles. He's a big guy anyway. In terms of your defensive side, I think that's going to maybe be able to hold up slightly better. We know that the way England have been playing across the Six Nations so far, there is a real push for this blitz defence. I've seen a couple of things with Steve Borthwick saying that's their plan. You know, it takes 5 or 6 games for this to be implemented, for it to be working well, because all the players need to get with it. The blitz defense is working hard. Your fitness needs to be on top point. You've got to be able to catch players, though, behind that gain line. Otherwise, if that ball gets around your blitz defense, you're in a lot of trouble. So adding someone like George Martin in to come in for bigger hits, maybe more dominant tackles throughout the game, I actually think is a really nice move. I'm going to be interested to see how Ollie Chesham holds up in that 6 shirt playing at flanker. I don't know if I've ever seen him play at flanker in the England shirt before. He may well have done. Can't think of off the top of my head. In the 7 and 8 shirt then, Sam Underhill goes in at 7 and Ben Earl still at 8. We've seen this across the Six Nations so far. Sam Underhill, I've been a bit quiet. I kind of expected Sam Underhill to be everywhere. I do typically think of Sam Underhill playing in 6, but he's been playing that open side throughout the Six Nations. I haven't really seen an enormous amount from him as I was expecting, but Ben Earl still, carrying hard with the ball in hand. I'm sure he's going to be having a lot of game time in this one going up against Ireland. Big old clash of number 8s in the Ireland-England games. In the halfback partnership then, Alex Mitchell goes in the scrum half position. George Ford retains at 10. Marcus Smith is back in the team. Marcus Smith is down here. He's on the bench. He's just come back off a bit of a long-term injury. So George Ford's still starting at 10. Now, George Ford, reliable kicker. He's been decent in terms of a distributor. Do I think he's the best fly half England have available? Personally, no. I like what Marcus Smith brings in terms of his running game. Finn Smith doesn't feel like he's had a great deal of game time. He's coming on very, very late into those games and maybe not being able to make his own impact into the game. I think looking ahead for England, is George Ford making the next World Cup? I genuinely don't know. He's getting up there now in terms of his age. Will he make that next World Cup? I think if you're looking ahead to future years with the team, I feel like Finn Smith and Marcus Smith are your boys that are going to be going to that next World Cup. Keep having George Ford to have all this game time with all his experience and all his caps. I know this is a massive game against Ireland, but I don't think it would be a bad move to have those lads have a bit more game time and maybe look ahead for the England team as opposed to keep resorting to going back to George Ford. In the centre partnership, Ollie Lawrence going in alongside of Henry Slade, the centre partnership that I still don't think England have sorted out either. I think that's a bit of an issue for them, trying to find the right combination of how they want to try and organise this team. The loss of Farrell from that inside centre, it's created quite a shift in this team that they used to have Owen Farrell as a playmaking 12, and they would have the 13 would be a hard carrying player, whether you have someone like Ollie Lawrence or you could have Tuolagi in there as well. They've had to switch it up now. They've got more like a hard-carrying 12 and Henry Slade as your playmaker. I feel like Henry Slade would be more than capable to slide into 12 and actually resort a little bit more back to what they were doing originally. I would also like to see Henry Slade having a few more kicks. He has been used as just sort of a distributor so far for the tournament for me. Henry Slade is a good footballer. He's got a good boot on him. We saw last week the option to go for the kick a few more times, and a couple of those kicks really landed on the mark. We had Danny Kerr, of course, was playing scrum half last week, and a few of those box kicks were getting right where you wanted them. So Alex Mitchell's going to have to be looking out for this one. Against this Ireland team, though, I would maybe like to see a few more tactical kicks, get a few more kicks from being able to get possession out and maybe play like a chip over the top from someone like Henry Slade with Ollie Lawrence chasing onto the ball. I feel like that could add a bit of a different dimension to the England team. At the minute, I'm not sure if there's enough creativity for me in that backs to really be able to punish other teams. So we'll have to see how that switches up going into this week. And then in the back three, a lot of swapping around going on this week. Tommy Freeman moves to the left wing, Feu Woboso moves to the right wing, and George Furbank at fullback. This is going to be a new, more untested, lower capped back three. This is a big risk. Ireland like to punish, if they can get over the line. We've seen James Lowe have some fantastic games. Bit of a spoiler for the Ireland team. Hugo Keenan back in the side this one. We know what he does, linking up with players when Ireland are on the attack. These boys are going to have a long day. Elliot Daly's been moved to the bench. And again, I'm not quite sure what this team is trying to do with itself. To me, this back three, the way they've sorted this out is looking ahead. It's looking forward. Feu Woboso, Tommy Freeman, two young lads, two low caps. We're going to be playing a big game in Twickenham versus Ireland. Looking ahead, this is your future going on. Elliot Daly coming on from the bench, can play fullback, winger, centre. He can come on there as well. I don't think it's a bad move putting him there. But if you're doing this, I would also maybe look to swap the 10 up and have a younger 10 in there. I would like to see England try to build towards something. It feels a bit 50-50 to me, and I can't quite work out what they were trying to do with the team. I'm looking forward to see these young lads get out on the wing and hopefully have a good game, because they've got some tough old competitors, right? James Lowe and Hugo Keenan are absolutely monsters when it comes to playing out in those wide channels. Quickly then, in terms of the replacements, we have Theo Dan, Joe Marler and Will Stewart. This is the same front row we got to see coming on last week. Alongside them then, Cunningham South and Dombrandt going to be coming on in that second half, who I assume will be coming on, at 8, or maybe I'm wondering if they'll do a whole shift around. I'm wondering if they might put Dombrandt on at 8 and then move Ben Earl to 7 and Underhill to 6. They might do a whole rotation, or they might do Ben Earl to 6, Dombrandt coming on at 8. I'm not sure about Dombrandt playing straight in at 6. I typically think of him being able to play that 8 and actually linking up with Marcus Smith. I think those two lads might come on at a similar time and try and shift it up. For me there, I think I would do Ollie Chesham off, Dombrandt on at 8, the same time that Marcus Smith is coming on, and have those two lads link up together off the back of a scrum and what have you. And then to finish them off, Elliot Daly there coming on as a bit of a super sub to come on in a lot of different departments. It's a decent England team. They're testing some new things. I think this is a good tournament to be testing new things. First Six Nations after a World Cup cycle. This is a big game to be testing all these things going up against Ireland. I think they're going to be hard pressed for some stuff. For me, I would maybe like to see a bit more of a full overhaul. I might have liked to have seen I might have even liked to have seen Finn Smith start, in all honesty. Marcus Smith coming off the back of an injury. I think it's reasonable to assume he's not going to get straight back into that starting team. I might have liked to have seen Finn Smith play a good sort of 50, 60 minutes of a game and then bring Marcus Smith on later, because George Ford, to me, hasn't really opened the door to a lot of available options for this England team, bar just being a bit of a reliable kicker, kicking over towards the post. But, we'll see how they get on. Going up against an Ireland team who are in full swing. They are just getting everything right, across the board, really. A lot of these, new players that are coming into the team are performing well. They're missing a couple of players, with like Ringrose still out and what have you. But this Ireland team is looking monstrous. I predicted Ireland to go on and win the Grand Slam again this year, and they look like they're on for it, right? I think bookies have got Ireland as quite heavy favourites for this one, and the team looking pretty consistent as well. Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan, Tyke Furlong comes in this week. They have, messed about a little bit with Finlay Bealham coming in there. I think I'm interested to know actually who people would rather start, in that tight head position. I feel like Furlong has held best tight head in the world for quite a while. I actually think Finlay Bealham offers a very different style of game, and I quite like when Finlay Bealham is starting. But in terms of your power front row, just to take over those scrummaging times, I think this is the right front row for Ireland. In the lock department, Joe McCarthy and Tyke Byrne. Joe McCarthy having a great Six Nations. Just came in out of the blue for me and has been playing really well. On the bench, we also do have Ian Henderson and Ryan Baird. And I'm really interested to see how that's going to work itself out. Do they bring on the two lads to go in at lock? Because Ryan Baird, is absolutely lock or flanker if you want him to. Will they go one lock, one flanker? Tyke Byrne's been playing most of the games. I mean, he had his yellow card the other week, but still got over for his try and had a good overall performance minus that yellow card infringement. In the back row, Peter O'Mahony goes back in alongside of Josh van der Fleet and Caelan Doris. Just a monster back row. I'm looking forward to see how they're going to swap that up in that second half as well, because Ryan Baird, lock, flanker, where's he going to come on? Jack Conan, the one game we got to see him actually start because Peter O'Mahony was out and they moved Caelan Doris to 6. Jack Conan had a great game at 8. So there's a lot of available options for them here to go Jack Conan at 8. You slide Caelan Doris to 6. You've got Ryan Baird and Ian Henderson to go in as your replacement locks. You chuck Ryan Baird on at 6. You put Jack Conan on and just remove Caelan Doris, thinking ahead. You've got Scotland next week. So a lot of available options in this Ireland team. And it's a real sort of show of what this Ireland team has been developing over the last few years, to have all these different puzzle pieces that you can sort of put into different places in this Ireland team. And I really like how this Ireland team has been built up. In the halfback partnership, James Gibson Park and Jack Crowley going back in alongside each other once again. Kieran Frawley played fullback last week. Thought he had a decent game, to be fair. He's been moved to the bench. Maybe they're just not looking at Kieran Frawley to be the number 10 in Ireland. Jack Crowley getting a lot of game time in at that starting 10. Maybe he'll come on. We are on the 6-2 for Ireland today, so Kieran Frawley might come on at that 10 position later on in the game. He might come on at centre again, thinking ahead towards Scotland. Maybe you want to save Bundyaki. You could have Frawley come on at 12. Maybe he'll come on at 15 because Hugo Keenan's come off the back of his injury as well. Back in at full back today. In the centre partnership then, Bundyaki and Robbie Henshaw. These are two lads that have been working well together over the course of the Six Nations. And then the back three of James Lowe, Calvin Nash and Hugo Keenan. James Lowe and Hugo Keenan playing well. Calvin Nash is one that is getting to me a little bit. Calvin Nash just doesn't seem to be getting the ball. And I've been keeping a bit of an eye on it. I've had him in my fantasy team for the last couple of weeks, which is why I can say I've been keeping a bit of a closer eye on him. Just the way Ireland really utilises the team. James Lowe is everywhere. He's having a great tournament. Calvin Nash seems to be struggling to get his hands on the ball, and I'm not sure why. Because every time he does, he seems to be having the ability to get a lot of room on the pitch. Whether it's a tactic to not punish that right-hand wing as much as they could do. I've seen a lot of times the ball will get out to Robbie Henshaw and he'll cut back inside towards support runners and just leave Calvin Nash out there. I was screaming at my TV. I'm a Wales supporter, but I had Calvin Nash in my fantasy team last week. I was screaming at the TV last week because there was a couple of times Calvin Nash is out on his wing with a 30-metre square radius of nobody around him in any direction. And Ireland are going for, little inside carries, or they're popping it off and running. You think if someone goes for a crossfield kick here, he's away. And I don't know who's going to be able to stop him. And sometimes I think that vision's getting lost a little bit. And then you see it in the second half that Calvin Nash is doing a lot more moving in towards the midfield, and he's trying to loop around. He's obviously looking for the ball. He's looking to get work. I don't think he's being utilised enough. And I would like to see that shift up a little bit, especially with England testing out, their new wingers. They're swapping around Freeman on that left wing now as opposed to Elliot Daly. It might be an opportunity for Nash to have a bit more game time on the ball. And then finally, in terms of the replacements for them then, Ronan Keller, Cian Healy and Finlay Bealham coming on in that second half. Ian Henderson, Ryan Byrne, Jack Conan, as I've already mentioned, they're going for that 6-2. And then Conor Murray and Kieran Frawley to come on as the replacement backs. Now, when I was doing my fantasy video for this week, I did back Ireland forwards for this game, and I said I can absolutely see Ireland are going to grind this game out. It's going to be a forward-based game. 6-2 is absolutely what I was expecting from this Ireland team. Driving mauls, Dan Sheehan, Ronan Callagher, I can see them trying to get over for a couple of tries in this game. I can see this being a real lockdown forwards battle game. Now, England run the blitz defence, and they have done throughout the tournament. They're very fast off the line, but Ireland are an immense team at the breakdown. They are awesome at just being able to clear out those rucks and get quick recycled ball. If you can play fast, you are going to tire this England team out because they've got to blitz up, tackle, get back onside, blitz up again and do it. If you can get quick recycling of the ball, that England team is going to be ping-ponging all over the pitch all day long. They also have a great versatility to get that ball out wider. James Lowe especially has been having a lot of the ball. That's why I think Calvin Nash needs to see more of the ball this week. Robbie Henshaw likes to stay out wide, but cuts in a lot almost every single time I've seen him carry the ball. He always likes to cut back inside against the grain a bit. I think against the blitz defence of England, it will work much better for Ireland to look further out, quick recycle ball and ship it out wide and be able to make those meters. Like we saw, last week against Scotland, getting that ball out wide, it gets out to Duhan van der Merwe, it gets out to Hugh Jones on a bit more of a run. As soon as you have gaps open up in that England defence, because you're running so hard off the line, as soon as they get in behind you, it can be a real nuisance. And I think, kicking game again for Ireland might be vitally important. Someone like Jack Crowley, chip kicks over the top, I think could be a big area. And I also think this 6-2 for me is a big area of contention because that line out and the scrum time worked very well for England last week. Being able to neutralise that a bit going into this round will result in more penalties, more easy kicks, more territory possession, just to allow you to get up and get over those driving maul tries. So in terms of a score prediction for this game, what do we think? I am still back in Ireland for this one. I just think Ireland are on form to go on and clean sweep the Six Nations. I haven't actually had a look at the bookies' favourites. I imagine Ireland are favourites, but I don't know by what they're claiming this game as a bit of a handicap. I am going to go for Ireland as favourites. Even playing in Twickenham, I've seen a lot of Irish supporters saying we're not getting ahead of ourselves when it comes to England at Twickenham. I'm going to say an Ireland win. And I'm going to go maybe a little bit more comfortable than other people are maybe going to be predicting. I'm going to say Ireland to win this one I'm going to go up to 14. I'm going to say 2 tries. I'm going to go by 14 for Ireland and see if I can be completely proven wrong by George Ford just kicking 1,000 penalties in a game. But there we have it, guys. That's going to be my prediction for the game. Make sure you drop down in the comment section who you guys think is going to win. We've still got one left to do, which is Wales versus France. Wales team is already out. They came out yesterday. They were rushing out. We're still waiting on France. Of course, that video will come out tomorrow, most likely when France announces their team. So make sure you hit the old subscribe buttons that as soon as that video goes live. I hope you all enjoyed this one today, guys, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.